Good afternoon. Today is the 30th of January. Hopefully this is the last time that you'll be seeing me do any of these videos from the MG. We're still having, to wait to sell it. I don't know why. It's now by about £400 the cheapest MG3 in the country. I don't know why nobody wants to buy it, but there we are. We're not here to talk about that today. We are here to talk about the fact that ultra-low emission zones, zero emission zones, clean air zones, and whatever else they're called this week, they're coming and they're going to affect a lot of people. Those of you who have been watching this channel a very long time will know that one of the first videos I ever did that wasn't a review was looking at the London ultra-low emission zone back in October 2018. Now, the reason I actually did that was because it actually affected me directly. We lived in Epsom for many years. I lived there from 2007 to 2019, actually. And that's within the M25. It's not in London, but it's very near London. And when I heard that the ultra emission zone was coming in, I actually got rid of my diesel car because I knew that after quite a short space of time I wouldn't be able to use it in certain areas of the city. I know a lot of you have been quite sort of interested in this whole topic, and it's actually just going to get more and more stringent. Whether this is a good or a bad idea, I don't really know. That's up for you to decide. But I've been reading some news recently, and it's not just, oh, we're not near London, oh no, it's not going to affect us. There's a lot of different local authorities which are going to introduce restrictions or bans entirely on, we're only talking about cars here. I'm not going to talk about vans and buses and things like that. I'm only going to talk about cars. But there's a lot more of these zones coming, and I think you probably all need to be aware of them. I'm reading here from the Auto Express website, which is just one of many sources of information about all these zones. This just happens to be quite a recent article. It groups it all together quite nicely, and it's not based on speculation. It's based on, excuse me, it's based on actual what's been going on, and it seems pretty, pretty reliable. I did get in trouble recently for not using a very reliable source. This one seems to me to be a bit better. So first, one of these clean air zones or ultra emission zones is Brighton. Now the council there, they are more on, shall we say, the kind of cycles and electric cars side than a lot of other councils are down in Brighton, and they want to ban cars entirely over the next 10 years. It could actually be a lot sooner than that. I don't think it's going to be just like the ultra emission zone in London, where if you've got a car that's not Euro 4 compliant, so generally petrol cars made before 2006, although there are a lot of exceptions to that, or diesel cars made before September 2015, you have to then pay a fee or they're banned. It's just all cars just removed from the centre of Brighton entirely. Now this is very provisional, and it's not something that I know too much about, other than that we're looking at a city council. Brighton and Hove is a city now that wants to be carbon neutral by 2030, and I think cars are going to be one of the main ways that they're looking to do that. Now, if you live in the Medway area of Kent, they're also proposing a similar thing. It's all very, very professional at the moment. Brighton's looking at a ban. I don't know if that's what they're considering. It's all a little bit vague, but that could be coming to Medway towns as well. Birmingham, this is actually going to happen a lot sooner than everyone else. Obviously, London was the first. It looks like there's going to be a clean air zone in Birmingham in less than 6 months' time. From the 1st of July 2020, they're going to introduce this clean air zone. It's going to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 366 days a year, and it will be the same restrictions as London Large to Low Emission Zone. It'll be cars which aren't Euro 4 compliant, diesels which aren't Euro 6 compliant, that will be charged. And the roads within these VA, what's it here? I'm just going to read this. VA 4540 Medway Ring Road, anywhere in there, you're gonna have to pay if you don't have a compliant car. I don't know how big that is. I'll have to go to Birmingham at some point and actually have a look at it for myself. I know that I went to Bristol at the end of last year, and I went to see, part of the zone that would be affected by it for myself. I'll have to go to Birmingham and have a look, but it looks like that will be introduced in less than 6 months' time. So just be aware of that. Oxford was the first city in this country to introduce a park and ride scheme. That was 50 years ago, actually, in 1970. And I remember, even when I was a lot younger, going to Oxford. My mother and father were both at university in Oxford, and we used to go there sometimes, only an hour or so from where my mother lives. And every time we went in, we wouldn't drive in the city centre. We'd take the bus, because that's what I think people have done for years. Now, you can currently drive into the city centre, although like a sort of restricted bit. There are various bits which you can't drive on at any time or certain other times of the day. It's a little bit confusing, but what they're going to do is they're going to introduce a red zone, which will be from the 1st of December 2020, and you're not going to be allowed to drive there unless you have a zero emission car between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Now, you can pay to do that. I think it's £10 or something. So, for example, any car that we've got at the moment, which they're both petrol cars, and the new Astra is also a petrol car, that'll be £10 to drive in the red zone. Now, there are various exemptions that they're going to be giving. Blue badge holders would be given a discount. There'll be a discount if you live in that zone. It's not a huge area, actually, but it's going to be expanded to what's called the green zone that will come in 2021 or 2022. And that will be free for zero emission cars, electric and hydrogen cars, and then everything else which complies with the Euro 4 petrols or Euro 6 diesel standards will be given a discount. So that will be okay for people who have cleaner, in inverted commas, cars, to pay a little bit more. And then if you then have a very dirty car, one of the older ones, then you're going to be paying a lot of money. Oxford, it's not really a surprise to me. They've always been a bit funny about it. The traffic jams around there are pretty terrible, but even so, I think I'm going to have a trip down there at some point and just take a look for myself and see how big these areas actually are. Now, Bristol, just to recap on those who haven't seen a Bristol Clean Air Zone video that I did back in November, this is something which is an outright ban on diesel cars. It's an outright ban on diesel cars between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. I think it's all days of the week, and that could come into effect next year. Now, the zone isn't particularly big, but it's big enough to actually affect people quite considerably. So it's not even to do with how old your car is, it's just what fuel goes in it. So yeah, that's interesting. Every single council seems to have decided to do different things, and I find that fascinating. I've got other projected low emission zones here and clean air zones: Aberdeen, Bath, done Birmingham, Cambridge. Again, I'm not surprised they do that. Cardiff, Derby, Dundee, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Leeds. Obviously, with London, the actual emission zone, which only covers the area currently within the congestion charge zone, will be expanded to North and South Circular by October 2021. So just be aware of that. Manchester, Newcastle, Portsmouth, Reading, Sheffield, Slough, all of these places, and York as well, to do with buses, they're all going to introduce these zones, or they're planning to introduce these zones quite soon. That's an awful lot of places, and they're all over the country. So really, it's time to be quite aware of what's going on in your area if you're planning on going anywhere near any of these places, because this isn't just to sort of, rest of the country to point at London and kind of laugh and sort of say that, oh, you can't take your car in, and sort of, that's too bad. It's a lot of us are going to be affected by this. So I will update you as much as I can when the news is actually coming out. But yes, I hope you found that to be an interesting video, and I certainly think you need to know this information. Thank you ever so much for watching. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you ever so much again for watching.